What are the differences in terms of policy positions that, for example, you may have with President Trump?
Probably not very many at all. I am so thankful that we have President Trump in office.
Dude, you're supposed to be running against him. Why don't any of them understand this on the Republican side? All of them are challenging him. And I get that they're scared of what he's gonna say, what he's gonna do. Tim Scott's probably terrified, rightly so, of what the nickname Trump is gonna give him will be. But like, not being willing to differentiate yourself from him is not gonna stop those attacks. You are, by the very nature of your challenge, trying to stop him from becoming president again. I think he's gonna realize that. David, what do you think?
I'm baffled that a Republican like Tim Scott doesn't have an answer. Even if his answer is, oh no, I have the same policies as Donald Trump, but I believe I'm better situated because of less personal baggage, because of fewer negatives, to be able to carry out policies like lower taxation, breaks to corporations, isolation, whatever the policy is. But for him not to be able to articulate that in like a 10 or 15-second answer shows this is not a guy who is ready for a presidential campaign. Yeah. And this is a lesson for other Republicans too. You're gonna be asked this over and over. And if you're afraid to differentiate yourself from Donald Trump on policy, that's fine, but you have to differentiate yourself from him on something else.
Yeah, 100%. Well, look, maybe we're being unfair. After all, Sean Hannity is a pro. He's gonna ask follow-up questions. Here's a second attempt to get Tim Scott to differentiate himself.
Might we then find ourselves in a position where maybe we'll have 6, 7, 8, maybe 10, maybe 20 Republican candidates on a stage that mostly agree on what the governing philosophy and ideology should be for the country, what works for the country? Then where are the differences? What would the differences be, do you think?
Yeah, it's a great question, Sean. I would simply say this: what I'm learning on my Faith in America tour is as I tell my story as an African American who's born into poverty and then a single parent household.
So, spoiler alert, he doesn't actually end up differentiating himself. To be clear, he does focus on his background, the perspective that his life experience gives him, which I think is actually incredibly different from Donald Trump. I think that there is value to that. I'm not a Republican voter though. They supposedly hate that identity politics stuff. So I don't know how far that's gonna get him. Well, I respect it. But anyway, no, he's not willing to actually say why you should vote for him rather than for Donald Trump, which would seem to undercut your challenge just a bit.
And he got so close, right? Because he could have used that background and say, because I'm from the poverty and African American, this is why conservative policies mean more to me and why I believe in them, and I can have a better message about. I mean, so it's not like you can't use your sort of background and say, okay, our background is very different. But again, you got to have that answer ready. You can't just say, well, I'm on my faith tour and I'm an African American, I grew up in poverty. No, you have to link it to what the question was. How are you different? If your policy is the same, then it's your background that makes you different, and my ability to carry out the policy because of my something. Give the audience something, because right now they're looking at Tim Scott and saying, I'm never gonna vote for this guy, he's not ready.
Yeah, it just comes off as weak and mealy-mouthed and wishy-washy. I mean, you presumably have been thinking about this for a while, right? You should have something ready to go. Maybe that something would collapse under pressure, but you gotta have a paragraph that you've memorized.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.